Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AMPM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss all things Amazon private label and how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show. Get it? AMPM podcast. As a matter of fact, I was trying out Tabatas with ghee, and please look up burpee Tabatas if you don't know what those are. And the whole time I was doing these things, damn near killing myself with the most intense exercise I've ever done, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hey guys, Manny Coates here, and I am back with Kevin King. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here again.
Yep, and we're going to be doing part 2 of the series we just did. I guess it would be I don't know what the title of this is going to be just yet, but Beginner 101, Amazon 101 is going to be something cool. You're answering a lot of questions. Let me pull up my notes, guys, because we got interrupted on the last one. Kevin lives in some kind of third world country where internet is very rare, apparently.
Yeah, I had to go pay the guy some what, tell me to run on the treadmill to get a little bit more electricity. I had to give him. He was thirsty. To give him a glass of water, so he's back running again.
There you go. All right, cool. So the last question I asked you before we, the internet broke us apart is, I think we were talking about advertising, and I said, do you think people should be advertising when they first launch a product? And in a pretty nice way, you said they would be silly if they were not advertising, something like that. Why don't we start with that? You think it's super critical, super important for them to be advertising when you're launching your product, right?
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to do a manual campaign. I mean, you can if you want, from the research you've done, but at a bare minimum, you got to do an auto. And like I think, I don't know what I said in the last episode, but I start my autos with about a $5 bid. And I put about a $500 budget on it. That's just what I budget, because I want to know straight from the horse's mouth what works and what doesn't. And there's no other way to get this information than to run sponsored ads. And so once you've run an auto campaign for at least a week at a high budget, then you can dial it back. You can start doing negative keywords, but you're going to have a good idea. Number one, you're going to validate that your product is in the right category and that Amazon understands it or it doesn't. If you're not showing up for keywords that you think you should be, then you got to investigate and see what's going on there. Why are you not? Is that keyword missing? Is that are you in the wrong category and Amazon doesn't consider it relevant? Whatever. Then you need to find out what converts and what doesn't. What are you making sales on? Because sometimes what you think, you go after these big high value keywords that have lots of searches, and that may not be what people are buying your product on. So you need to kind of refocus your efforts. And sometimes, putting together 5-10 of these lower lying keywords, the ones that aren't the big gold ones, can add up to just as much or more than if you go after one of those big ones. And the only way you're going to know that is by running sponsored ads. And then once I've got that data, I'll dial that back, and I might start running some manual campaigns to test stuff. And then I always keep my auto campaign running. I'll dial it way back to a much lower bid, and I might negative out some stuff that is costing me money, but I keep it running because you just never know. Some new word's going to pop up or some new discovery is going to come, and as long as that cost stays down, below 20% or so, I keep running them.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know the difference between automatic and manual campaigns, manual campaign allows you to pick the keywords that you want to advertise on. The automatic, which Kevin's talking about, means Amazon's going to figure out on its own, based off of all its data points, what keywords it thinks your product should pop up on. And sometimes it's weird. I think you can tell they're testing, because I've had a product that was a gift for women. It was more a kind of an aromatherapy type of a product, and it got linked up with some kind of a bong, or I don't know, some glass something or other. And so there was some kind of correlation that it was seeing. But I remember getting a sale off of that. I'm like, oh, someone's looking for some kind of marijuana bong, and they ended up buying this product. So yeah, I don't know that I would bid on that, but it was interesting to see the keywords that were coming up. Let me ask you, Kevin, what the
other thing you can do in this auto campaign before you move off of that, Manny, is sometimes you can get other product ideas, because maybe, I used to sell a tortilla press, and I sold for the first year I was selling on Amazon, I sold a tortilla press. And inside that those keywords, I started seeing the word crate maker quite a bit coming up in my automatic campaigns. I'm like, crate maker, that has nothing to do with tortilla press, but Amazon put those two together. And then I was like, look, there's a lot of searches coming through, a lot of search volume on crate maker. Let me go take a look at the crate maker space and see maybe there's opportunity there. And sure enough, there was. So I launched a crate maker. I got data that way that I could use to launch my next product. So it's more than just, it's very valuable. So you got to do it.
Okay. Do you have a formula, or how do you set your bids? Like, how does somebody that's new know what they're going to bid on a specific keyword phrase?
Well, Amazon will make a suggestion and then they'll give you a range. And so when I first start, I bid super high on that automatic campaign because I want to get data fast. I'm not trying to get, I don't care if I lose money. It's basically a $500 marketing expense. And I need to know what works and what doesn't. So I'll spend a lot of money on that initial one. And then after that, I'll dial it back to either something below my break even. The A cost is basically a percentage of whatever it costs you to advertise versus what you're selling it for. So you have to know your margins, and I'll set it below that break even point. Or I might give a test with if I'm doing a manual campaign, whatever Amazon says is the medium. They say the range is this, we suggest this. I might go like 10 cents above that and test that and then see what happens from there.
Okay. So an ACOS, you want to explain that to people who are just starting out? I remember that was one of the things when I first started. I'm like, what the heck is an ACOS, an ACOS?
An ACOS it stands for advertising cost to sale. So that basically it's whatever it costs you to get a sale divided by what the product sells for. So if your item is for simplicity, if it's a $10 item and it costs you $10 to make $10 in advertising spend to make a sale, that's 100% ACOS. So you have to know your number. So if that $10 item that you're selling, let's say you're buying it for $2 from China, or say if you're buying it for $1 from China, Amazon has their fees, to pick and pack and ship and so forth. Let's say those add up to say they add up to $4. So your real cost on this product is about $5. And so you're making in theory, a $5 profit on each one. So that means if you want to run advertising to break even, you need an ACOS of 50% or less, because you have $5 out of 10 is your profit. So if you want to break even on the sale, you need your ACOS to stay at 50% or less in this particular example. Now, you like to have that lower, so you like to have that ACOS like at 20%, because if that means your ACOS is at 20% in this particular example, it costs you $2 to make a $10 sale. So you have your $5 that it costs you to buy the product from China for all the Amazon fees, $2 in advertising. You add those together, that's $7. You got 10. You made a $3 profit. So that's where you run it profitably. So that's how you calculate the ACOS. It's based on how much it costs you to make a sale divided by what you're selling the item for.
Okay.
Now, sometimes you might want your ACOS to be higher. You don't care if it's 120 or 150%. Which means you're spending more on advertising than than the item costs. But sometimes you have to do that just to get positioning or to get rank or something. So it depends on your strategy.
Yeah. If you guys are a little bit more advanced, if you're not absolutely a beginner, one of the ways that you can do what he just talked about, what Kevin just mentioned in regards to positioning, is to bid very specifically on a keyword when you want that keyword to rank very high on the search results. And we're not going to cover that because that's more of an advanced topic on how to rank on page one for keywords, but you can read all about it over at helium10.com/CPR. Okay. As in, giving somebody life, CPR, but there's a big write-up on that. Kevin, number of reviews. How many do people need to get started?
Reviews are critical. Obviously, when you first start, you're going to have 0, and you can make sales off of 0 reviews, and people do all the time, but it's more difficult. So you need at least 5 reviews, really. You need to try to get to 5. 21, people say, is like a magic point that becomes like socially acceptable. When you only have 5 and they're all 5-star, people still have their doubts. It's not enough, But once you hit 21, and people tend to believe it a little bit more. I don't know why what that number is, but some people have done studies and say 21 is the number. Obviously, the more you have, a product with 10,000 reviews, that's a 4.5-star rating, versus a product that has 20 reviews, that's a 5-star rating. People are probably going to believe that the product with 10,000 reviews and a 4.5-star rating is probably a better product. because it's so many, but so you need some reviews, and you're going to have to get those reviews. If you're brand registered, Amazon will get those first 5 for you with $60 fee, but you have the brand registered means you have a trademark that's already filed, and most new people don't have that. It takes 7-8 months to get that. You're going to have to go out and try to get the reviews, either from friends or family, from delivering a really good product, from if you're using the follow-up email sequences or product inserts, or one of the good ways is some of these launch services. A lot of those people, even though it's not allowed to give a product in exchange for a review, that changed in October of 2016, still a lot of the people that participate in these launch services where you can buy a $20 product for $1, they're conditioned and they almost feel obligated to leave a review. So a lot of times you'll just get them by default from that, and other times it's just get velocity. It's a numbers game. They have the number of people that will voluntarily leave a review on Amazon is pretty low. Yeah. And so it's a numbers game, but it is crucial to get those. But I would not start doing PPC, or I would not just hold off on doing anything just because I have zero reviews. I want to come out of the gate swinging and do the best I can, and the reviews will come with time.
Perfect. All right. So let's go back to keywords. I've always taught people, you want to make sure your main keyword phrase is in your title. We've kind of gone through this, unless things have changed recently. The title is kind of trumps everything. The title is where you get the most juice out of putting your keyword anywhere. If you, Kevin, have more than one important keyword, your main phrase, let's say you got 3 or 4 different keywords that are just almost equally distributed in terms of what you think generates sales. How would you do that? Would you put them all in your title? Would you keep them all exact phrase in your title? Would you mix them up? What do you do?
Yeah, I would try to get as many of them in my title as possible. Sometimes, it might be, you can group words together so they can kind of cross over. It's kind of like playing Scrabble or something with your words in your title. But yeah, I would try to get as many into the title as possible and still have the title make sense. Typically, I like to find about 10 to 20 different ways to skin the cat. 10 or 20 different ways to sell my product, different entryways. If it's I don't know if it's a supplement, it might be Garcinia cambogia, and then another way is arthritis relief, or different ways to come into the product, and then I'll focus on what I think are the 2, 3, or 4 and put those in my title, and then I will run the what we talked about earlier, the automatic PPC, to see if which ones of those are actually working, and maybe one of those keywords is just getting a lot of clicks but no one's buying. So I'll remove that from the title and put it down in my bullet points, and I might take one of those other ones and I in my keyword list and move it up into the title that is converting, because the title is the most important, by far the most important spot where you want to have the main keywords, and you don't want to stuff it too full, but you definitely want to have your top 3 or 4 in there.
Yeah, and something that Kevin and I discovered a long time ago. This was back when super URLs were super popular, and they've lost their effect unless you're doing something very specifically now. But we started noticing, you and I had this conversation one night. You're like, man, I noticed that these other keywords are also going up in the rank, but I'm not really focused on those. I'm focused on this keyword. And we realized that everything in your title, essentially all your keywords, get a little juice, a little rank juice for every sale that you get, regardless of what keyword someone uses. Remember that, Kevin, that conversation? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which was really cool. Do you want to talk about that real briefly?
No, it's true. I mean, every time you make a sale, whatever's in your title will definitely get a boost. I mean, you can influence what the sale is made off by using what's called a 2-step URL, but that's a little bit more advanced. But anything in your title will get lift. So if someone types in, if your title is frosty mug for hunters, as if someone types in mug for hunters, that's going to get the most value in Amazon's eyes and their algorithm. But also frosty mug is going to get a slight lift, and everything in that title is going to get a little bump up, and whatever they actually typed in and bought on, it's going to get the most lift. Yeah. So you definitely want to make sure your title is as concise and as accurate and filled with as many of the main words that you're going after as possible. Even if they're not, I try to get the main ones in phrase order, but even if they're not in phrase order, that means they're in the exact order someone would type them in. At least the words are in there so Amazon can mix and match, and that'll still give you some lift.
Yeah. So if you have, for example, guys, if you have the word dog treat, perfect, size for bowls, right? The word dog in the beginning and the word bowls at the end will get combined by Amazon for dog bowls, and you'll get an actual increase in the search results positions for dog bowls, even though they're not together, as long as someone's buying and they're in your title. So yeah, it's really cool. Kevin mentioned a two-step URL. It's kind of advanced stuff here, guys, but it's for launches when you actually want that particular keyword phrase to be, when someone types it in, your product's at the top. If you guys are at that level and you want to learn more, we did a blog post on this. It's over at helium10.com/launch. And it's how I launched 3 new products last month, generated 6 figures in profit on those products. Pretty interesting write-up. So Kevin, we talked about images. We talked about getting your title in place, where to put keywords and things. At what point do you say, all right, you know what, I'm going to make a change on my listing, or I just have to leave it at this point?
I typically make most of my changes within the first month, because Amazon kind of gives you a grace period. If you start monkeying around with your listing a lot once you've been selling for a while, it can actually hurt you. So typically they give you about a month period to monkey around with it, and after that I have it kind of locked in. Now there might be a keyword. When I first started, I used to analyze this. I was changing my listings daily, going in, changing, adding keyword. But part of that I was trying to reverse engineer what the hell how this stuff worked. I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you spend that first month to dial in the product, dial in using the advertising, dial in, see what works, and then just let it go. You might come up with a new keyword here or there. There might be some new tool that comes out at some point, and you'll go back and make a few changes. But after about a month, you need to be pretty much locked in so you can move on to the next product. And all you're doing at that point is dealing with any customer service issues or reordering.
Okay. So let's just say that I invested in Bitcoin 2 years ago, and I bought something for a few $100 and I cash in a portion of my Bitcoin. I now have $10,000 to launch my Amazon business, Kevin. Out of that $10,000, would you cast a wide net, go after a bunch of products, or would you focus on one product?
Well, it depends on where I saw the opportunity, but initially I would focus on one product. If you're brand new to this, don't try to launch a bunch of products at once. Do one and get your feet wet, learn the system, learn how to ship stuff in, learn how it works. And once you're comfortable with that, then expand. Now, some people will try to find that one home run. Some of these products, I put a baseball analogy. You have doubles, singles, triples, home runs, bunts. You don't need to have a home run. A home run is a product selling 1,000 units a day. Or something like that. It's just something crazy, like one of the supplements or something. But there's nothing wrong with having singles. Singles sell 5 or 10 units a day, and so you can make a really good business on Amazon by having a wide range of products that sell 5 to 10 units a day. And you'll have less competition in most cases. You'll have less people trying to knock you off or jump on your listing or steal your buy box. You'll have less hassles of people reporting you for this or that or giving you negative reviews. I like to stay under the radar. Most of my products don't have a BSR. BSR stands for best seller rank on Amazon. The lower the number, the more you sell. I don't like anything, my products, it scares me sometimes when they get below 2,000, 3,000. It's great. I like the money it makes, but it's like, man, I've just become a target. And it's just going to open up a whole new series of problems. So I like to stay in that 5 to 10,000 range BSR, which in most categories is selling 10 to 15 units a day, and I'm totally happy with that. And I have hardly any issues or any problems, and it's great. So that's what I would recommend. Once you launch the first one, then just try to go wide. Don't try to just have that 1 or 2 products that are going to make you all your money, because then the other problem is if you have a problem. If a lot of the competition comes in, the price gets lowered, Amazon has a problem with the product, you get a lot of returns, your business is dead overnight. Versus if you have a wide range of products, if one goes down, the rest are carrying the weight.
Yeah, you saw this happen with fidget spinners not too long ago, where it was a hot market. People put all their money into ordering containers full of these things, and they went from $19 down to like 80 cents in just months. It was fast. It was like the fastest I've ever seen something just kind of completely collapse. So, all right. So you go after 10 products that can sell 10 to 15 units a day. Maybe you have 10 or 15 of these products. So they all add to a pretty big sales day.
Let's look at it this way. If your average selling price is $25 on Amazon, some products are 10 and some products are 30, but if you're in your portfolio of 10 or 20 products, your average price is $25. All you need to do is sell about 110 units a day and you have $1 million business. So you sell about 110 units a day with an average price of $25 on Amazon. That 110, if you got 10 products, you get 10 different products selling 10 each. That's a $1 million business.
Yeah.
And something like only about 4.7%, I just saw this stat, of sellers on Amazon have $1 million business. So you want to, that's the upper echelon. It's not hard to do, but people overcomplicate it. They start chasing, thinking they got to have that home run product, or they get distracted with, like, I was guilty of this in the beginning. I was like, okay, I got some products. I need to go run a bunch of Facebook. I need to go build a Shopify site. I need to sell on Walmart. I need to do this and that. Screw all that shit. You're wasting your freaking time. Don't mess with it. Maybe use Facebook if you need to launch something, or you have an audience there or whatever. There's some valid reasons to use it, but don't chase all these shiny objects and all these hacks. It's a very simple business if you just focus on it and rinse and repeat. Launch one, rinse and repeat. Launch one, rinse and repeat. And you can be very, very successful.
Are you recommending just to focus on Amazon at this point?
Focus on Amazon solely. If you want to expand, I recommend, some people are like, well, what if Amazon shuts my account down? I have all my eggs in one basket. That is the risk. But if you play by the rules and you keep your nose clean, you're going to be fine. And I would recommend at this point, rather than going to Walmart, or rather than setting up your own Shopify site, or some people out there preach you need to build a brand. You need to go build an audience on Facebook and try to make them your own customers. And let's get them to start buying on Shopify. For most of us that are selling, that's a long process. It's a very expensive process, and I don't recommend it at all. There's people that are buying Amazon businesses that only sell on Amazon. Some people say, well, if you're off Amazon, it increases the value of your business. Yeah, but build your business on Amazon until you can't build it anymore, until you've maxed it. Then worry about the other stuff. If you're going to expand to other Amazon markets. Master the US, if that's where you're starting. Then, okay, let me ship my stuff to Canada, because it's super easy if you're a US seller to send to Canada. If you're not selling in Canada as a US seller, you're missing a major opportunity to add 5 to 10% to your sales overnight.
And another few percentage points too. If you want to go off to eBay, you can use Joe Lister. You were the one that told me about that. You're really not selling off of Amazon. It's all still going through Amazon, but you're getting eBay sales, right? And it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can use a program like Joe Lister that will put your product on eBay, and then when someone orders, it will tell Amazon to ship it. Amazon sends the tracking number. It's totally hands off. It's not a lot of money. It's a little bit, but then expand to Europe or expand to other places. That's what I recommend people do, is master Amazon and take advantage of their vast network. Something like, what was it? I just saw 47. E-commerce in the U.S. right now is about 9% of all retail sales when you take out gas and stuff. But Amazon, I think this last holiday season, controlled like 47% of it. So why waste your time? There's all these other courses, and you see them in your Facebook feed. Build your own Shopify site. Build your own drop shipping. Build your own this and that. Own the customer. Own the brand. Don't worry about that right now. Just focus on finding products on Amazon that you can sell. You can differentiate and grow it that way. And then once you're doing okay a few years down the road, then you can worry about some of the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if you're just tuning in, if this is you didn't see part one, we're speaking with Kevin King, and he's the guy that put together the amazing freedomticket.com training course. It's different than anything that's out there. As you can see from what he's talking about, he goes down a different path, and he's a 7-figure seller. He mentors big guys. He's a mentor at the Illuminati Mastermind, collectively over 300 million, probably 400 million at this point in terms of annual sales. So this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's the guy I go to when I have questions about things. So Kevin, you mentioned going out and getting, let's say, 10 products that each can sell 10 units. Would you go with one supplier that can provide all of this, or does that not matter?
That makes it easier. If you can find a supplier, if you have a good supplier and a good relationship, I'd ask them for their catalog. What else do you have? And see if there's something else in there, because that's just, you can consolidate shipments. You can maybe negotiate better prices. If you can do that, that's great. But I wouldn't limit myself to that.
How many brands would you recommend going after when you're creating an actual brand on Amazon? Forget about trademarking at this time. But let's say, would you try to keep everything under one brand name?
If you can keep it under one brand name, if your goal is to sell, it's going to make it a little bit easier. But if you're going to have a second brand name, you have the choice of getting Amazon's permission to open another account and do it under there if you want to keep it clean. Or a lot of people, they run multiple brand names under the same seller account. Okay. It's up to you. It's just from a bookkeeping point of view or a selling point of view down the road. Maybe, if you have a beauty brand, someone might want to buy that, but they don't care about your dog brand.
Okay.
So if they're separated, it can be better.
I've seen a lot of people post photos in our group showing their boxes coming from China completely crushed. The corners are squished in, products are damaged inside. I never hear you talking about damaged products when you get your stuff. Are you doing anything special? Are you talking to your suppliers or doing anything that keeps that from happening to you?
Yeah, what I do is I insist in the pro forma invoice. We talked about this in the last in part one, I guess. I insist on there that they put them in at least a 5-wall outer master carton, and sometimes they'll charge me a little bit extra for that. But those are much thicker outer cartons, and I actually tell them I want corner protectors. They're like little sleeves that go in the corners. Sometimes they're styrofoam, sometimes they're cardboard that go in the corners of each. And then my inspection company, I tell them to drop the package from 1 meter high or 3 feet high. So they go in there and they literally hold up the package and just drop it to the floor and see what happens. The factories hate that. Sometimes the factory will say, no, you may not drop it. And that right there is I will fail the inspection if they don't let them drop it. It pisses them off. It's like, no, you're going to drop it, you're going to damage something. Yeah, that's the exact point. Because when you're bringing stuff over from China, if it's coming by air or sea, if it's in your own container, most of it's usually not palletized because pallets take space in there, and so the things are just chunked, and then they go through. In the U.S. they get chunked, they get thrown all over the place. And you got to protect the stuff, and that's the other reason I ask for extra boxes too. Flat, they come flat. Sometimes I use those for returns, but other times, inevitably, even if you do all these steps, something somewhere along the way, someone's going to slash a knife through it, or it got stuck on a corner of a container and snagged it or whatever. You might have a couple damages, and that way you can replace them.
Okay. Packaging. We haven't talked about that yet in detail. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of packaging, right? Your photographs showing it. You've got a great, if you don't mind me asking you to kind of share your story about your dog treats and how awesome your packaging was compared to everybody else. And I'll just let you tell it. Yeah, you got a good story here.
Yeah, a lot of times people just they go cheap on their packaging, put it in a plastic bag because that's what the cheapest way is. But sometimes packaging can make a huge difference, and it's another way to differentiate. We talked about earlier how to make your photos stand out on the page and turn it at an angle or fill the whole thing or worry about the colors or whatever. But another way is with a really cool looking package, because you can show the package closed or open in your photo with the product, and that can make you stand out too. And it can, for people, think of yourself when you go into the store and you're looking at the packaging, especially like olive oils, for example. Sometimes if you need to get some olive oil, you might buy that olive oil because the bottle looks cool. Instead of just buying the simple house brand, look at this one. It must be cool. It's in this fancy bottle with all these markings and stuff. This must be from some nice estate or whatever. It's the same damn shit that's in the $2 bottle, but you just paid $20 for it. So packaging can make a huge difference. So I sell one of my products is bully sticks, dog treats, bully sticks. And everybody's selling bully sticks, and they're putting 30 sticks or something in a bag, in a plastic bag or something, and selling them for whatever $25-$30, and it's highly competitive, highly competitive because it's a high demand product on Amazon. So when I went into it, I was like, how can I compete here? To compete, I'm gonna have to give away a ton of these things. So how can I compete? So I said, okay, I'm gonna have ones that are made in the USA, number one, because that's a big complaint with people saying this meat's coming from Brazil or Argentina, which is not bad meat. But some people just have this perception that anything outside the U.S. is bad. So I'm like, make it in the USA. And I searched everywhere, and I found this supplier that's like a French chef. He cooks these bully sticks. Bully sticks are bull penises, by the way. So if you don't know what a bully stick is, it's a penis of a bull. And so a lot of people don't realize that. It's a byproduct of the cow. And so they fry up this basically. And so I found a guy who's like a French chef, and he makes these bully sticks, and like he cooks them in a French chef way and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I can differentiate on that because people care about what they feed their dog. They want to give their dog the best. So I created a product, and I even created cartoons. And one of my images was a cartoon that I had drawn off of Upwork, and it showed, here's some dogs in a car going through a fast food restaurant and getting some little cheap bully sticks. And over here's some dogs sitting in a steakhouse eating this really nice quality bully stick. And the tagline was like, which would you like rather feed your dog fast food or, a quality restaurant? And so some humans identify with that. I'm getting into the market, the psyche of the buyer. Dog doesn't care. Dog will eat either one, but the human cares. And so to differentiate this, I took my bully sticks, and most people remember are selling like 30 in a package. I sell 3. They're a little bit bigger. They're made in the USA, and I sell 3. These other guys selling 30 in a package for 25 to 30 bucks. I sell my 3 for $50. And I put them in a cigar box. I put them in a nice little cigar box, and they're nicely labeled with I had a label made that's got a little texture on the label, so when you see it, it feels kind of like a nice Tiffany's box or whatever it may be. And that's how I sold them. Now, was I the best seller? Absolutely not. But I was in a 5, 6, 7,000 BSR range, which is selling 10, 15 a day. The other guy, they're selling 50 a day or more, but their margins are a lot lower. And I could compete. So I put this up there, and I got to page 1, and some of the other bully stick companies saw this and were like, no freaking way this guy's selling 3 sticks for $50. That's impossible. And they actually reached out, after they saw I was staying, they actually reached out to me and say, what the hell, dude, we got to talk. We have some other products that you should be selling. If you can do that with your marketing, let's talk. So that's another way to approach this business is not always, there's a lot of people on Amazon that have money and they're willing to spend money. It's not always about the best price. Price is important for a lot of people, but there is a subset on Amazon where they're looking for quality and they're willing to pay for it. Yeah. And that packaging, it might cost, that box, that cigar box cost me $1 versus a plastic bag would have been 5 cents or something. But that dollar allowed me to give the perceived value to sell it for significantly more. So perceived value, especially around Christmas time, can make a huge, huge difference in what you can charge for a product. So a $1 package, nice package, can mean an extra $10 in profit per unit.
Yeah, that's a great story. I love hearing that because you're making what, like over $16 per bully stick. Everybody else is making like $1 maybe, just because you thought this whole thing through and
now, I'm not selling as many. Like I said, I'm not selling as many. People get stuck on BSR. A lot of new sellers are like, what's my BSR? What's my BSR? Who the fuck gives a shit what your BSR is? I care about what my
what's the BSR of your bank account?
That's right. I care about my DIP is. I care about what my dip is. I don't care about BSR. I care about dollars in pocket. It's my dip. So that's what matters. And people get confused and they get too hung up on their BSR, what their competitor's BSR is, and don't worry about that. Worry about what you're making, what money you're making.
Cool. All right. Well, and I saw this with some gloves for Christmas and stuff. People were selling these little cotton gloves, two pair, 3 pair, that kind of stuff, and they would just show them. Another person, I was just crushing it, and what they did differently is they showed an actual like a gift box, and they actually shipped it because I ordered one of these things. They shipped it to Amazon in this gift box, and it looked kind of like a big cupcake type thing with the gloves inside of it, the way it was wrapped up. And people just identified it. They saw that it was for Christmas, right? So they saw, oh, it's already wrapped. It's already a package. It's really cute. And it wasn't any better than any of the other stuff that was below it, but it was number one just because of the packaging. And they were the most expensive. So it goes to show.
Sometimes packaging is not going on a spatula, packaging may not matter too much. A spatula is a spatula is a spatula. But on a knife, you have cheap knife sets and you have nice knife sets. There's packaging is crucial. And
do you have a supplier? Do you have your supplier do your packaging, or do you do that separately and then ship everything together to a place?
I've done both. In the case of the bully sticks, I found, because those were made here in the United States, I found a box company and had a custom box size made to fit the bully sticks. And so I did 3 different. I had the labels made in Colorado. Labels online or whatever it's called. So because they had the special paper, I had the boxes made in Brooklyn, New York, and then everything got shipped to the supplier, and they put it all together for me at the factory that makes the bully sticks. But also in China, sometimes I'll just let the factory do it. When you're first starting out, if you're not going to do fancy packaging and like this, if you're just going to do basic packaging, there's no need to go out and try to find your own packaging. Just let the factory do it. It might cost you an extra nickel or dime, but if it's your first product and you're not doing some fancy packaging, just let them do it for you.
Okay. We could go on for hours and hours with all the new stuff that we could talk about. So I'm gonna end with one last question here. When somebody's starting out, they initially have to go out and order samples from all these different companies and then compare the products to make sure they look good. At least that's one of the methods you can use to do this. When you're doing this, how many companies do you actually source from before you finally stop? Because there could be 100 companies, right? Before you stop and you actually choose something.
Well, when I find a product, based on the keywords in my research, I'm like, okay, I want to take a look at this product. I may launch it. I'll typically reach out to about 20 or so factories or sources. Some of them will get eliminated right away because they don't answer me within 24 hours, or their English is really bad, or they don't answer the questions I ask. When I reach out to them, I number the questions, because if you just write a big paragraph when you're reaching out to a supplier, they're just going to pick and choose. So I'll like question 1, question 2. And if they skip 3 of them, they're eliminated. So the ones that get back to me quickly and answer the questions, then I'll ask for samples from those. And so usually about 5 of them or so will end up making the cut, and I'll get samples from roughly 5. Those come in, and I'll take a look at it and see which one I like the best, which quality I like the best. Sometimes I'll go back to them and say, hey, I like what's in this sample. But I like your price and your quality better. Can you kind of do this? And a lot of times they can, and then I go from there. And then I also will order, samples from, like you said, you order those gloves here in the U.S. I will order samples from people already selling here in the U.S. and just to see what they're doing, and see what their quality is, and compare it to whatever it is I'm sourcing, to see how the quality is, to make sure that, if I do well, I'm not going to get a lot of negative reviews or something.
That's one of the things, guys, that we do is we'll go out. If we have a product line that we want to go into, we've done all the research. We know that we can make money with something like that. We'll order all the products off of Amazon first, get them in, make sure they're exactly what we think. And we make sure that we photograph and video them in their packaging, so we can see, were they cellophane wrapped, were they in a box, were they whatever, because we'll forget, because there's so many products. And then we'll actually send these videos to the suppliers and say, can you, that we already know that they make this kind of product. Can you create this, or do you have something like this? There's ways that we've taught in Illuminati Mastermind how to actually find the actual suppliers of these guys very easily. So there's different ways you can do things, but
that's a good point, man, because the Chinese, English is not their native language, even though you're often dealing with someone who's got a college degree and speaks English, but you can't describe, hey, I want this to be red and have a fringe on the edge. They are very visual. So if you can, like you said, order from your competition, say, hey, I want it to look like this, but I want you to change it to look like the edge, to look like the piece of this. Show them that, and it'll make things a lot easier and a lot simpler for you.
Yeah.
In the end.
And the point that you made earlier, this is super, super important, guys. I do this as well. When you're talking to your Chinese supplier, do exactly what Kevin said. Number all your questions. Because if you have 12 questions in there and they're not numbered, they're going to skip stuff. I guarantee you, I learned this probably in the first 30 days I was doing this business. I'm like, why is everybody skipping things? As soon as I started numbering them, I could just come back and say, hey, you didn't answer number 5 and 6. And then they'll come back and they'll answer. But by numbering them, it's just, I guess visually, they answer them. It's a really, really cool tip. It's something, I don't even know if I've ever talked about that. But yeah, it's something that we do. So, guys, well, first of all, Kevin, thank you for coming. Now on part number 2, we've been doing this now for well over, I think, an hour and a half. A lot of content here. Guys, Kevin, like I said, he just crushes it on Amazon. He's an entrepreneur in many, many different areas and different ways. He's a mentor to many people. He's got really cool training. If you got to watch part 1 to get all the details, but he's got really good training called. Well, actually, Kevin, do you want to mention a little bit? 60
sure,
seconds to pitch this this training.
Yeah, we have I have the training. It's called the Freedom Ticket. Freedomticket.com. There's a little webinar there that you can watch, and then there's a join button. But it's 21 hours, 60 modules, and there's some bonus stuff of actual training on how to sell on Amazon. And it's different than all the other courses that are out there. I really teach you all the fundamentals and how to really have a mastery of this business. It's not a magic formula of do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're done like everybody else teaches. The problem with that is about 90% of the people that take other courses that have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 formula, 90% of them never launch a product. So I want to give you the knowledge and the tools and the full understanding so that you can treat this like a real business and really go out there and do it right and have the best chance of success. So it comes with a money back guarantee. So if you decide to do it, after 30 days, you can do and you can say, you know what, Kevin, you suck. I'm not learning anything. Cancel, get your money back. But there's a lot of over-the-shoulder stuff. I show some of my real products, so I'm not hiding stuff. I do a weekly Q&A with me. It's not with somebody in the office or somebody else. That every Monday is a live Q&A, so you can come on and ask whatever questions you want. I answer every single question from everybody that's on those live Q&As. There's also replays available if you can't make those, because I want to be a mentor, not an advisor. I want to help people succeed. And when you're first starting out, it's difficult. And there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of misinformation out there from people that either don't understand it or aren't really doing it. And so that's what the Freedom Ticket's all about. And if you're looking, if you're already selling, I have people that come in that are already selling $10,000, $20,000 a month, and they're learning a lot of good stuff. And then people that are brand new are taking it, and the feedback is really positive, and I think a lot of the students are doing very, very well.
Great. So guys, freedomticket.com. Kevin's also in our Facebook group. Okay, you can go to the FBA High Rollers group on Facebook. If that doesn't pull up when you do a search, you can just go to ampmpodcast.com/Facebook, and that'll take you there. And you can also ask questions to Kevin there. But yeah, this guy is full of knowledge. I'm going to have him on a lot more regularly. We're going to go back to some basics. That's what a lot of people like. And hopefully this was cool. If you like this type of a format, this episode, where we're doing this, these longer, more, I guess, beginner type things, that just going back to the basics. Let us know, post up a positive comment. Let us say, just say, hey, I like this, whether you're watching this on YouTube or it's on Facebook, share it, let people know. And we both appreciate you, taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this. So, Kevin, again, once again, thank you for coming on the show, and keep on crushing it, buddy. Make sure you slam the subscribe button, give that video a thumbs up, and share it. One final thing, if you want the most badassical Chrome extension for Amazon sellers, download the Helium 10 Chrome extension for free at helium10.com. The link is also in the description. What other topics would you like us to cover? Write them below in the comments.
You've been listening to the AMPM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.